Hi, guys. This is yet another edition of the QLA Godfather. I've said it more than once. The reason we're in my pub here at the estate, Guthrie Castle Estate, is that a lot of deals that the Godfather did, mostly nefarious, were in some sort of bar. I was just saying before we went on camera, if I owned a whorehouse anymore, we'd have them in a whorehouse because a lot of his nefarious deals were in places of prostitution. But we're fortunate that, and his initials are TK, and I'm going to call him TK, joined us, and his wife is sitting in the off camera to do another edition of this. These are very popular, and we normally split the interviews into 2 or 3 segments. But he is renowned, not to you because you're just hearing this, because he broke a long-standing record that approximately 12 months from going to the seminar, which was August of 2021. He's done approximately, plus or minus, about $348 million in deals. Okay. I will round it up to 350 because it's easier for me to remember, which is bloody fucking unheard of. Now, the only people that have done that good or better, one is sitting here and one other guy, in 29 years. So we can either say everybody other than these two and one other guy are brain dead, but that's not true because it is. It's tough to get that many deals done. And he comes from a town which I know very, very well because I used to have an office there, Mesa, Arizona. Now, I can't explain to you what that really means. You'd have to see Mesa, Arizona to really understand. This is not London. This is not Paris. This is not New York, not Chicago, not San Francisco or Los Angeles. This is Mesa, Arizona. And another superstar of the 90s came from Mesa, Arizona, so I was there many, many times. And it just shows you it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. In his industry, we'll just call it generically construction. You can do it. We have other superstars in construction, i.e. Marcus Bauer, to name one, which you've all heard about and actually from on this very venue. And he's come in. Tonight, the seminar starts with our arrival night and the dinner. He's going to talk to the group tonight on a Q&A basis. And then tomorrow he's going to give a small presentation about how he did it. And we're grateful. Now, some of you, many of you really, in a month or in a quarter, email our website, can you do it in construction? And I say, with my tongue in cheek, that in an up market, construction's easy. If the market goes down, construction's hard. Okay? We're not in a down market yet, but interest rates are going up. Well, he's been able to do it. And we were just discussing before we went on film that I'm sure he's going to be able to do it because there's going to be more motivation. There's going to be more motivated sellers. And remember, there's only one moving part in this model, and that's a motivated seller. Everything else is after the fact. The deals will have to be better, but as I said before we went on camera, I was doing these deals when interest rates were 15, 16, 17%, 25, 30 years ago. So interest rates, don't be afraid of them. Interest rates work to our advantage vis-a-vis motivated seller and them taking back notes, or we call seller's equity. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And the long trip you made. You've had a little vacation before you got here, and that's great. Europe is a great place. Notwithstanding the Queen passing away about a week ago, and the cities, although Sally and I paid our respects both in Scotland, once at Balmoral and once in Edinburgh, London, and they're still lining up. And it's everything's gone on. I won't say hold, but everything's got slowed down tremendously. So when you came to the seminar a year and 2 or 3 months ago, 2 months ago, what were your expectations?
You know, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had, because of you, I owned another restoration company, and you had a seminar where you said if you were 40 or over, you should sell your business. So I thought about that, and it was funny because not long after that, a private equity group contacted me wanting to buy my business. And I think that just goes to show when you throw things like that out there, things happen, you know. And so I was 39 years old at the time, and I said, okay, well, if that's what Mr. Peña says to do, that's what I'm going to do. So I did that and sold, and I was here to the seminar within 2 months, I think, of that. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't think that construction and development and real estate I could do with QLA. But then you showed me guys like Anelli and Marcus Bauer. Anelli's doing all kinds of stuff, just weird stuff. Yeah, conglomerate, weird stuff. So let me know that you could do this with anything.
Correct.
And that was really, I knew I loved construction, and I knew I loved real estate. I didn't know what I was going to expect, but I wanted a way that I wanted to set my mind in a way that I could think bigger and understand how I could do more and just be more. And I learned that that's what QLA is about. QLA is about being all you can be in every way. And so it's been a blessing to me, to my wife, to my kids, to my family. And I think I understand that's why you're so passionate about it, because you see the impact that it makes on one guy and the impact that it creates on all the people around him. And I'm super grateful for that. I just want you to know that.
You're very welcome, and it's my pleasure. It reminds me of a story, and actually 7 or 8 years ago, I was, because I see people all around the country, when I stop, I had my 20, 30-minute talk with a kid who worked in a donut shop in South Central Los Angeles, and he was a Hispanic kid, Latino, and he said he came back to the seminar 7 years later. He has 70 or 80 donut shops, but he said that in his first donut shop, when he kept in contact with me by email, that's 10 employees. And so now you impact not just me, you impact my family, immediate family, and the 10 employees. And then all these, arguably hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of people that I've impacted over the last 29 years. But it takes taking action. You got to pull the trigger. You can't just spreadsheet it to death, as a lot of people do. And you did take action. A lot of people come to the seminar after they've seen that it works because they've made it work for them in a smaller way. And for those individuals, those attendees, it opens up their eyes once they're here and they see the big numbers that other people have produced. Even though we put a lot of stuff on YouTube, the real personal stories are here on webinars, either live or recently taped. And we've got a lot of them. We've got guys, that have done billions. I'm sure you heard Simon Bell when you were there, Simon the Bell. And you will never exceed your highest and most crazy expectation of yourself. Never. Okay? I use the analogy, a zillion times. Muhammad Ali, when he was Cassius Clay, was yelling, I'm the greatest, before he won a fight. Okay? And you hear the MMA guys and the boxing guys talk trash. They call it trash talk now. And they're pumping themselves up, and they're setting high expectations. When you're, like Muhammad Ali or Cassius Clay from a small rural town, and for him to think he was going to be the world's greatest prize fighter, that's a big aspiration. It's a big goal. And so we've seen a lot of kids, not as fast as you did it, but a lot of kids do these things almost overnight. Andreas, my healthcare guru, who just got voted 2 months ago, under top 40 managers in Europe, healthcare managers under 40. Okay. And he said, I would rather have 5 million more in EBITDA than this trophy. He told him this.
So true.
Yeah, I'd rather have 5 million more in EBITDA. But he gives the analogy. When he did what you're going to do for us, he said, we bought a business. A guy worked 30 years to build up $3 or $4 million revenue company with about $1.5 million EBITDA. And he said, and we bought it from him in roughly a week. And in that same time, in 3 years, we've created, $45 or $50 million in revenue. And he took 30 years to create $3 or $4 million. Because, we had a guy from Australia, say, the light went off for me when you said it's easier to buy revenue than create it. Okay. You still have organic growth, yes, but it's a lot easier to buy revenue. And, It doesn't take any genius. Well, apparently it does take some form of genius because not everybody does it. I got an email from a very wealthy guy recently. How long do you think the seller's finance is going to last? Well, it lasted since Andrew Carnegie, and I have no data before him, but it's going to last as long as there's people that want to get out and want to sell. Someday you'll be a motivated seller. Okay? When that is, you're still young. But at some point, either you die, I used to say, die in your basket, falling into your basket. Now you die falling on your laptop. If that's your exit strategy. But most people, want to pass on all the hard work. And you've taken advantage of that. One of the questions I'm sure you'll get asked is, because you're in one of the ostensibly tougher areas, construction, how much longer? Because they're going to want to know, okay? They've seen Marcus Bauer do it 12, 13 years. But as long as there's people that own construction, and construction's not an easy bit. It's easy when the market's going this way. But when you encompass all the subcontracting and all the ancillary crap, you've got to have a great team around you, and you've got to be able to keep those pieces moving. Because, there's, combat training they teach you, it's harder to hit a moving target. Well, that's pretty obvious. But it's not so obvious when you're just sitting on your thumb and you're waiting for things to happen. The key to the QLA model is making things happen. What was the biggest hurdle you've had in the last year?
I think the fluctuations that you're talking about. The last year, the market has been all over the board, so that makes it hard to judge. But in the same breath, because of the uncertainty, it opened up opportunities for us. And so we've been through a down market before with another construction company. And, people get scared and they're worried that construction is going to fail. But there's always stuff happening. There's multifamily housing that always needs renovations. There's TIs that have to happen in industrial buildings when things change. There's lots of things that you can do. And so that's kind of how we tailor our businesses. They're able to do a lot of things, and a lot of the work that we generate for our own companies is with our own properties. And so we get that control.
Is your future to stay in Mesa?
We don't know. We've talked about moving to Florida. We've talked, you say it best when you talk about your deals. You love the ones that you're with.
Yeah, I love the ones I'm with. I'm more nostalgic about it. If you brought me to the dance, I'm loyal. A lot of the guys, just because they brought you to the dance, they're not so loyal. The grass is always greener. My dad told me a long time ago, the grass is always greener. Guys leave their wives or their partners or whatever, because they think the grass is greener. Then they wish they were back on the old field, So, there's a lot of opportunities, and you can't be based in Mesa. It doesn't make a damn. Yeah. It really doesn't. And I think you told me you did a deal in Florida.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're looking, and I think that's a good market for what we do. On the owner financing, when you said that, people wonder, why would anyone do that? And the more I've done it and the more I look at the deal, it's actually a really good deal for a seller. There's tax benefits that he has because he's not going to get hit with all those tax ramifications. You ask them a lot of times, what are they going to do with the money? And a lot of them say, I think I'm going to put it in the bank and I'm going to retire on it. Well, then when you start talking to them, do you realize that the bank, you're going to get 0.001%, interest on your money. I'm going to give you 5% or whatever, and you're not going to get hit this big tax hit when you do sell the company. So I look at it, at first it was like, man, are we working out a bad deal for a seller? It's actually a good deal for a seller. And it's the ones that I've bought from are very grateful. They're grateful to be done. They're grateful to be out. And it's been a good deal both ways. And so it's a very positive experience.
I wasn't as esoteric when I was doing it in the trenches, but I hammered, and I used to be a hammer closer. I hammered the fact through that I just turned 77 a few weeks ago. You're 73 years old, and your kids don't want to be in the business. Your grandkids don't want to be in the business. Nobody wants to be in the business. So when you decide either you can't work anymore physically, or God forbid you fall dead on a construction site, what's going to happen to the business? And then nobody likes that. Nobody wants to think 20, 30, 40 years of their life is going to go down the toilet because nobody's going to take as good a care of it as you. And then they see the wisdom in that. And at that time, I had such a group of satisfied exiting their properties. And a 75-year-old man wants to hear from a 72-year-old guy that it worked out. I mean, and of course, there's no better referral than a third-party referral. And some of the guys, utilize that. But nobody wants to leave the planet as if they didn't exist. No matter where my heart's supposed to be over here, somebody like myself, nobody. And it's gratifying now, 20, 30, 40 years later, because I've seen how it works out, that the grandkids ultimately get it, or even sometimes the great-grandkids. But there's no shortage of deals, and there's no shortage of even money. I mean, although money has gone from tight to loose, but the monetary easing's over. Inflation, one of the things I've said on being interviewed in recent months, how can you think when the U.S. printed $7 trillion and Europe printed new money with no backing, $5 trillion, how can you think with 12 trillion new dollars in the economy that you're not going to have inflation? I mean, it's crazy. And of course, the Fed is now being chastised, and various other people are being chastised because they didn't put on the brakes enough, and now they're putting on the brakes too hard. Blah, blah, blah. We just had a big sell-off before you got here of crypto and the stock market, and now the oil market is receding from its high of 120 or something like that a couple of months ago. Putin, we talked about, when I was in the oil business 30 years ago, we talked about Russia, if they ever decided to use their natural resources as a weapon, we're all fucked. From 1992, when I left the business, to 2022, or now, 2021, nobody's done anything about it. Because they said he'd never do that. Well, here we are. And I think he's going to, and on top of it, his soldiers are losing because their heart's not in it. The Ukrainians are winning because they're fighting for their land, for their families. But there's always something that's going to be coming up that will enhance. And unfortunately, the worse the economy gets, the worse the environment gets, the better it is for us. The better it is for us. I just took over chairmanship of a construction company in North Carolina. I thought of you when I came in late. He's already been a success. But he heard about some of these other guys. Well, I've been doing this 10 years and I'm only here. And so it's interesting. He and his team did a lot of right things. And I'm not saying not to be cautious. And I'm also saying not to be reckless. But there's a fine line in between, that super caution and being reckless. And so, and we're in solar, and we fix roofs and then we put solar on top of them. Now that's an easy sale. If you can't sell solar on top of, you're fixing a roof, something's wrong with you. I mean, you're brain dead. And so but it's, there's pockets of construction activity all over the United States. All over the United States. I mean, all over North America, actually. But you're right now, and success begets success. You've been successful, so it's easier for people. Well, I don't like this, but shit, he's done all this, and you ought to ride that horse until the legs fall off.
Yeah. Until
the legs fall off. As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, and ethics and morals swing in the wind depending on where you are. When I was in Mesa, you could carry a gun.
You still can.
You still can. I mean, yeah, which I found not amusing. It was, I remember this person I alluded to had gotten money from the Bill Gates Foundation. And the two advisors that were coming down to look at our operation, they brought their golf clubs. I still remember picking them up in their private plane, coming with golf. Well, obviously, they had already made them. The money was already being transferred, so they were just down there to see if we were real. And when was our first tee time? We can probably get 9 holes in before dinner. But it's plenty of money. And in addition to the conventional seller finance, the Ford Foundation, amongst all these private offices, which the Ford Foundation would now be called a private office, I have tons of money that all they're looking for is a rate of return that's above whatever the going rate of interest is above inflation. Well, unfortunately, inflation is going up high, but they're still only looking for 6 or 7%. So there's all kinds of opportunities. There's all kinds of opportunities.